we live? Are you sure? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Demote Mitch Monday. We've got a very big show for an even bigger week of politics. We, of course, have Mitch in the news because that guy is always in the news, rarely with good news. We're going to be announcing our new name. That is right. You heard it here. We are going to be retiring the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee, and we're going to be announcing a new name. So listen to the end when Kimberly will share that news with us. We're going to be taking on a left-wing conspiracy, and I am incredibly thrilled that we're going to be joined by my friend Sarah Rose, who is a reporter for Georgia Public Broadcasting, about their reporting on the Georgia runoff election, what's going on in tomorrow's big election finale. Tomorrow's a very, very big day politically. And then on Wednesday, we've got big doings in both the U.S. Capitol and the Kentucky Capitol. So in Wednesday in D.C., they're going to be scrutinizing and accepting the Electoral College results. Or will they? There's some question as to what's going to be happening with those Electoral College results and what the Senate and what the House will be doing with them. And then Wednesday night, Governor Andy Beshear will be giving his State of the Commonwealth address. So lots of stuff going on politically this week. But we're just going to tell you a bit about, what's happening here with the Georgia race, a little bit what's happening with politics, and then what we need to be doing to stay engaged and involved. So without further ado, let me throw it over to our co-host, who are going to tell us who they are, where they are, and what does your protest sign say today. And I was not on the show last week. I did watch it later, and I'm going to say I was not inspired by the amount of comments that were happening in the thread. So if you are watching this show, we want to know what your protest sign says too. It's not just about the hosts and their signs. It's about your sign, your engagement. What are you doing in this larger political movement for Kentucky's progressive future? So tell us what your sign says, please, and where you're coming from. So I'm Aaron. I am coming to you from Childsburg on Lexington's southeast side. My sign today says, be a peach, demote Mitch, please. Because, Georgia's the peach state. Get it? Get it? Everyone gets that? All right. Kimberly, what's your sign say today?
Where's my money? Mitch, where's my money?
That's not a confession, is it, Kimberly?
Maybe, but it was crystal clear coat. I didn't do the red.
You just have to look at an angle and you'll see the sign. And where are you live streaming from tonight, Kimberly? You're not in your car today.
Yeah, thank goodness, right? I am here in Great Louisville, Kentucky.
Fantastic. Welcome, as always. And welcome back, Samantha Jean.
Hi, folks. So I am here also in Lexington in beautiful Gardenside, and happy to say hello after Christmas and holidays. So my protest sign today says, Mitch, don't kill my vibe, because I was having a nice chill Christmas, basically trying my darndest to make the best of 2020 and just be positive. I'm happy we've got Donald Trump out of the White House and we are hopefully all trying to be moving on with our lives. And then Mitch has to come through and be the only person in our government who is so fully against helping American families. We got to be excited for a moment that we might get a reasonable stimulus check. And he seems to be the only person with the power to just strip that away. So Mitch, you're killing my vibe. Don't,
Mitch is the no fun police, just to be clear.
The song for that by Kendrick Lamar.
Mitch, don't kill my vibe.
It says, don't kill my vibe. Don't kill my vibe. Or should I say, beep, don't kill my vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And actually, I think that's the first story we have, and Kimberly has it for our Mitch in the News segment. Kimberly, take it away.
Thank you, Aaron. Actually, Mitch says no to the $2,000 checks. Isn't that wonderful when he's so rich? And also it says here, but Trump is not the only person that think Mitch should give up some money, give up the cash, and is wrong on this. Guess who that may be? Lindsey Graham. Yes. He was very vocal in his opposition to Mitch, and he wanted to stop a clean vote on the measure as well, saying going from $600 to $2,000 doesn't make you a socialist. It's unbelievable that this is coming from Lindsey. However, we also know that Lindsey says he's considered giving Americans $2,000 checks, but Mitch says on Thursday on the floor on a session, he said giving $2,000, get this, would be socialism for the rich. Go figure that. Also bringing up in the news, I want to talk right now about Mitch blocks the straightforward vote on $2,000 checks. We've got that for you right now.
The Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R. 9051, that the bill be considered read a third time and the Senate vote on passage of the bill without intervening action or debate. Further, that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection to the request for modification?
Object.
Objection is heard.
Yes. Also, we were just talking about also something about Mitch in the news, just a little caveat, breaking news that just came in to us, that Mitch McConnell has actually shut down his personal Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Because why? Everybody's been requesting, where's their money? Where's the $2,000? So since Congress won't give it to us, why don't we just ask Mitch for it ourselves? Also, just want to let you know that Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell were doing a little New Year's decorations. And actually, in front of Mitch McConnell's home, someone put in fake blood, also red spray paint, and fake pig's blood, that is, put in there, where's my money? And also they put on the door also, Mitch kills poor. So at this particular point in time, there are no suspects in the vandalization of Mitch McConnell's home. I'm sure all of you feel so sorry for the majority leader of the Senate at this particular point, hopefully until tomorrow, how he says about the $2,000. Also, Nancy Pelosi, she also got a little bit of the vibe, as Samantha said, in California on her actual garage door. Someone had put Pelosi to that 2,000K on the door and also put cancel rent on the garage door. Right now, we don't know who did that, but we do know that it was in early Saturday morning when this happened. And also they used a pig's head as well, an actual pig's head. So if you have any information about that and who may have done that to our beloved Nancy, please call your local authorities in California. Back to you, Aaron.
Wow. So yeah, thank you for that info, Kimberly. And yeah, I mean, as much as I think that Nancy Pelosi doesn't deserve spray paint, it's not the House's fault that the $2,000 check didn't pass. She got up there, she got the bill cleanly through quickly. So if you want to spray paint on anyone's door, and we do not, as an institution, encourage this, Kimberly might have other ideas. But what I will say is that you might want to hunt down some of the senators that wouldn't go along with Bernie there. And again, as Nate made in his comments, not a Bernie fan. It was a good moment for Bernie. I'm glad he was, standing up for his principles there. I wanted to make a quick comment. Thank you for posting your protest signs. That makes me feel so good when we see our viewers, taking part and engaging, and some very good signs have been shared. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Catherine. Really great to see folks getting engaged there. All right, so now that's a fun thing. This might not be as fun. I am going to get into an issue that will probably get me beat up on the internet, and I'm fine to do it because honestly, like it's just worth doing. But this has been floating around the internet since the November election. These accusations that Mitch McConnell must have cheated to win his reelection race, despite the fact that this is his 6th term, right? So shocking. Senator wins one more term. I guess, the theory is that he, cheated in the other ones too. No, this is being advanced. There's someone on Twitter did some research and figured out
question.
What's that?
Can I ask a question? Seriously.
You can.
Why does Mitch McConnell have a Venmo and a Cash App?
And who figured out what it was? That is like
he's
a really
some
good
kind
question.
of like drug dealer, or like is he making deals on the side? Because I'm pretty sure the only people who have like a Venmo or a Cash App, aside from just regular young folks who are splitting the bill with your friends, I don't know if Mitch has any friends at this point to be splitting the bill with. So I'm like, are you just straight up using this for like bribe money? Is that how you're operating? Because the only people I know using Cash App are like hustlers who are evading paying their taxes. So like, seriously, why does Mitch McConnell have a Venmo and a Cash App? I don't understand.
Whoa.
Just saying, y'all.
Right.
I'm just
I
saying.
have a Cash App and
I
a
have a
Venmo. And
You're a young
PayPal.
person. You are a young person.
Like I might want to give you like $15. So
yes.
like, what's your Cash App?
Yeah,
right?
and that's completely, Who is Mitch McConnell giving $15 to? No,
Yeah.
that's,
I don't want to give
so.
anything to the man, but maybe he like gives his grandkids money.
Did we lose? Did we lose audio? I'm sorry. Okay, so I did see a comment that made it sound like maybe there wasn't audio. It was from Nate.
So nobody heard me.
I don't know. Oh yeah, no. Nate is now quoting Samantha Jean, so clearly he can hear you. I'm gonna stop reading the comments, is what I've learned. Don't read the comments, which is my general rule of thumb, in life. but yeah. All right, so I'm gonna try to get back to the story I was trying to tell, Samantha Jean.
I'm sorry,
Samantha,
I just had to interject.
When I heard Kimberly's point earlier, I had a similar wait, why does he, and what is it, and how did people find out about it? Although I guess when you use Venmo, seriously, it's like the settings are such that it's like global, right? Like you open up Venmo and you're like, oh, random people I don't know are giving each other money. Like, why do I care? Anyway, so maybe somebody just saw that,
Seems suspicious. Maybe
some malicious activity. I think there probably was some malicious activity, and
maybe he was accepting large amounts of cash. I'm just saying.
I'm sure that's how he pays the Breathitt County county clerk to bring the votes his way, right?
I think it's I think it's suspicious. Whatever. Right. I'm calling it out.
He probably is like, that's his dark money. That's probably how he shoots out his dark money. And it was some high school kids because they haven't been in school, and they haven't been really doing their work like they're supposed to. So they have nothing else better to do. Hear mom and dad gripe about Mitch McConnell and then go and find out how to rectify it, mom and dad.
Mitch is never going to miss a chance to get money, to bring in money. He's on all the platforms. He is absolutely there. Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about right now, Samantha Jean, is a internet conspiracy that has been making its way around Twitter. It went from Twitter to Facebook to rawstory.com, which, I never thought of as, PBS in terms of its quality of journalism, but I thought it was halfway legitimate. And unfortunately, no. What I wanted to talk about is the fact that, yes, small rural Kentucky counties have been going overwhelmingly for Mitch. This election, certainly. There's a long, proud history of some of these small rural counties being Democratic counties, but that's when Kentucky was a one-party state. If you look at it historically, we have only ever had 6 Republican governors in Kentucky, and like none of them have won re-election because people don't really like the way Republicans have traditionally governed in Kentucky, but there have been changes, right? Culturally, things have changed. We are a red state. We are one of the last Southern holdouts to switch our allegiance from Democrats to Republicans, but we are very much a Republican state. And the whole theory, it's like it's all based on Mitch's low approval rating. And yes, Mitch is not a popular individual, but when it comes to federal races, right? Not necessarily state level races, but federal races. The Democratic Party has a brand problem in Kentucky because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are the kind of standard bearers of the Democratic Party in Kentucky. That's what people see. That's what people think. And those are not folks who are well loved, right? So, all right. The individual who advanced this theory keeps pointing to an 18% approval rating, despite the fact that Mitch's approval rating at the actual time of the election was about 33% approval. So he was able to bring it up. And of course, that 18% is a national number. And as we know, Kentucky's Senate race is not a national election. He didn't, that 33% is not high. And he had a 48% disapproval rate, which, is the thing that I thought gave, Amy a chance, is that people really don't like Mitch very much. But Bette Midler jumped on that number on Twitter, that 18%, pointed to that dated number. And again, the national polls. But in Kentucky at the time of the election, it was about 39% approval rating with a 51% disapproval. And then, a Quinnipiac poll from September found 46% of voters said they had an unfavorable view of McConnell. 46% unfavorable, 44% favorable in that poll. But 47% said they viewed McGrath unfavorably, and only 34% viewed her favorably. So again, politicians are not popular, I guess is the real takeaway. And that poll had Mitch winning by 12 points or so, or she went on to win by more like 20. So that's a pretty big deal there. So let's look at those kind of rural numbers that have this internet researcher so alarmed, right? So they, come back to Breathitt County again. They talk about the fact that there were 9,500 registered Democrats and only, 1,500 registered Republicans, and that, McGrath only got 1,600 votes there, despite these, 9,000 plus folks who were registered Democrats. 3,000 folks went for McConnell, 67% to 20%, 29% trouncing. And this person is very outraged about the fact that McGrath only got 17% of registered Democrats in Breathitt County, which, again, there's a high number of registered voters. There's not as many active voters. There's 11,000 registered voters or whatever, and total voters were we saw 4,200 vote for Trump in that county. McConnell got less votes than Trump. McGrath got more votes than Biden, which to me says, okay, so this all makes sense. This is a rural county that's conservative. And while McConnell, this is the first time that the second time that he's won that county. He beat Grimes in 2014, and he lost to Lunsford in 2008. But the trends are very clear. The Republican vote just keeps climbing. And one thing that is remarkable that this person doesn't talk about at all in their theory is that Trump was on the top of the ticket, and Trump is incredibly popular in rural counties. So he was, rocket fuel for turnout in these conservative rural counties. And this researcher absolutely ignores that. The other thing they point to is the fact that Andy Beshear won this county just last year. Of course, he won it by 69 votes. So he didn't win it by a ton. And if you remember a year ago, which I do, I was working on that race. Andy Beshear, who, beloved former, attorney general, son of a former governor who expanded Medicare for our state, did a lot of really good things for the state. and was running against the incredibly unpopular Matt Bevin. Right, so Matt Bevin was far more unpopular than our friend Mitch. Because Matt Bevin was one of the world's worst politicians and went out of his way to pick fights with everyone he could. So you had like teachers up in arms, and everyone knows and loves teachers. So when you're going out of your way to pick fights with teachers and call them horrible things, you're not going to be very popular. Mitch McConnell, say what you will about him, and there's lots of bad things that we've said here on this show, but he's not an idiot. He doesn't go out of his way to pick fights with anyone, except for maybe the uber left and calls us socialists and all these things. But he knows his base. Again, a national race is a lot different than a local race, which is really what a governor's race is all about. The turnout was far lower for Andy Beshear's win in Breathitt County, and Trump, as I said before, was rocket fuel for turnout for a lot of these rural counties. So there's nothing here. There's no conspiracy here. There's no there. Yet this has been circulated over the internet. It's shown up on our Facebook page, which is why I felt compelled to address it. People are sharing it on our group, saying that people need to spend their time and energy investigating this election. There's nothing to investigate. Here's what I think is really important. And there's a great Reddit thread that you can check out. Like, I've refuted a couple points, but if you actually want to see every single point refuted, you should look at this Reddit thread. Thank you so much for our Montgomery County field rep and newsletter editor, Amber Adams, who hunted it down for us. We'll share it there. You can take a look at it. But why am I addressing this? Why not just ignore it? Well, here's the thing. If we're willing to just write off the election as stolen, it removes us from the responsibility of doing the important work of rebuilding the political coalitions that can win in our state, right? If we accept the truth, we can learn from it and we can do the work to rebuild. We keep talking about Georgia. We've talked about Wisconsin, these swing states or states that became swing states. Like, Georgia wasn't a swing state. It became a swing state through hard work. Right? They didn't just blame dark forces for stealing elections in those states. They did a real assessment of voter suppression efforts, worked to address those, but did far more than that. They're on the ground efforts to build the base, to register and educate and turn out your voters, and to do that not just 6 months before the election, but at an ongoing and committed level. That has to be our path to political relevance for the progressive ideas and policies in the months and years moving forward here in Kentucky. If we adopt this kind of evidence-free claim of election rigging, one, we're no better than Trump and his slow motion clown car coup d'etat that we're watching right now. And number two, it gives us an excuse to throw up our hands when we should be rolling up our sleeves. And that, I think, we got a clip right now.
We have won this election in Georgia based on all of this. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. Having a correct, the people of Georgia are angry. And these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
So yeah, if I was talking to the person who's been spreading this, this information around the internet, that's what I would say. Internet researcher, your data is wrong. You need to understand, and they blame this all on kind of, just hearsay and no evidence and anecdotes. And I got a lot of anecdotes I could share with you. Have you ever phone banked a list of Kentucky Democrats and tried to turn them out for an election? You will not think you were calling Democrats. You will keep checking that list because they will go on and on about how Nancy Pelosi is the devil. So here's what I want to know is, what's your plan, internet researcher, to tell the real story about politics and its impact on our lives? Because that's what we are going to do. Progress Kentucky is going to support and spearhead efforts that, that push the policies that matter. Like, I know that our ideas are better than those of the party that is right now holding this extra super extreme majority in the state house, right? So if you think legalizing marijuana is important, reforming our criminal justice system is important, if you support a $15 an hour minimum wage, None of that will happen with Republicans in control, right? And all those things I just mentioned are super popular. They poll at 70+%, right? So what's the Republicans' answer to any of those things? Limit Governor Bashir's emergency powers so he can't take the steps necessary to keep people safe in a pandemic. That's their entire strategy for this legislative session. It's embarrassing and shameful. So our ideas are better, but we have a fight to on our hands because culturally we are getting our asses kicked constantly, and certainly rural Kentucky, but I don't think we're winning even in the numbers we need to in less rural Kentucky. So if you want to help us do that work, that hard work, please go make a donation right now on our ActBlue account. Give us the resources to do the work to progress our politics here in Kentucky. So really quickly, call to action. Help push back on some of this misinformation, would you? That Reddit thread's really good. There's information there. This clip will be shared on the internet. Watch it, share it if you like it. We should, and if you have shared that, please don't. Please take it down. We do not need to be sharing baseless internet conspiracies about election theft in Kentucky. We've got enough real work ahead of us that we can't be embracing these types of distractions. So that's the call to action. That's my soapbox for the day. And now I am incredibly excited to bring on my friend Sarah Rose, our guest for the evening with Georgia Public Broadcasting. So Sarah Rose has been covering the election to end all elections for quite some time. You can hear or read their work on the Battleground blog, which is fantastic. Just today, I think they wrote like 15 stories. I don't know, I reached out to Sarah this morning to see if they could join us. And I kept looking at the blog and there's like more stories and more stories and more stories. So I am amazed that Sarah is taking any time to talk to us at all, because I'm sure they've got 5 more stories they're supposed to file. But a little bit of backstory about Sarah Rose. We worked together back at a group called Care 2, which is a big online, kind of activism hub and petition center. And so I am very, very happy that they can join us. Sarah, how are you doing this evening? How tired are you?
I'm exhausted, but it's always good to see you, Aaron. It's nice to connect again.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that it was a late notice thing, but I'm like, we have got to talk to somebody in Georgia who knows what's going on. And oh my gosh, I know the exact perfect human to do that. So,
well, thank you for
so what is it like being? What's it like being in the political center of gravity of the entire universe right now?
It's surreal. I grew up and I was born and raised in Georgia, and it's been pretty strange to see the political evolution of my state really culminate in this year, where suddenly we're a battleground state and we're a blue state for the first time since 1992. It's not entirely surprising to me because I've seen that political evolution happen since I've been a kid here, but to see, I think, other people realizing that the political tide is changing in our state is really interesting to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'll tell you what, I've lived here in Kentucky for a couple of years, and I've worked on a number of campaigns, and we were very happy when Andy Bashir won last year. We were a little bit devastated, in November when things happened with Mitch, and then Amy's race in 2018, which of course was a swing election, and it didn't get us what we needed, what we wanted. So, and I moved here from Louisiana, so I am just used to my politics not doing well, right? And so, thank you, Georgia, for and thank you, Sarah, for telling the stories that give us some insights into how Georgia gives progressives in the South hope.
Of course, yeah, it's been interesting. I can just say that we've really been pretty nonstop at both GPB and NPR for the past couple of weeks now covering this story, and I feel like it changes and shifts by the hour.
So what and people haven't probably been watching your blog for these past couple of weeks, but what would you say is the kind of top story that you wish more eyeballs had seen in this run up to tomorrow's very exciting election?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we've noticed in our reporting is that there has been a massive turnout of the African American vote in Georgia. And that's something that we find to be indicative of what other people are starting to see now in the state, which is a shift of voting demographics. Stacey Abrams said that Georgia is not a red state, it's a voter suppressed state. And if you see the Black vote really turn out tomorrow on election day and through the early voting that we've seen, we could see another result similar to what we saw on the race in November for the presidency.
Which I heard it was just a stolen election. I've been hearing from some guy in the White House that really all we saw was just a bunch of clear voter fraud, and the people are very mad. No, sorry, that was an earlier clip. But I did want to just throw it to a few of my co-hosts to ask a few questions as well. So Kimberly, do you have a question for Sarah?
Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you.
Just like to also say right now that I know that the AKAs, that's the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, has been doing a lot down there because of our great leader, which is Kamala Harris. She is a soror of ours, that they have put in an immense amount of work down there in Georgia. And we give kudos also to Stacey Abrams and all of those that have been involved in that. But with nearly more than 3 million early votes already cast, who exactly are Georgians? Who do they think are going to win at this point?
I think that depends on who you speak to, honestly. I think if you speak to Republicans, they're fairly confident that they're going to win. And if they don't win, I'm sure there's a handful of them that are fresh off of the heels of voter fraud and voter conspiracy. Now, we at GPB, we have not been able to substantiate any of the claims of people saying that there's been widespread voter fraud in Georgia. But I think that if you speak to a lot of Republicans, they would say that they're very confident about their odds going into tomorrow. I think on the same token, there's a lot of progressives across the state who feel very energized coming off of the win in November. So, even if you look at places like 538, the polling is dead even right now. We're really in a dead heat. So it's not an easy sort of prediction to make about which side really does feel more confident, but clearly you get the sense from both sides of the political spectrum that they're both sort of on their A game right now and feeling like they're going into tomorrow with the cards in their favor.
Yeah, it is incredibly tight. The polls are incredibly tight. And what we learned from polls is that we should not be looking at polls. So I'm going to stop talking about the polls. But I did want to just note for the record before I hand it over to Samantha Jean to ask her question, is that it took 32 minutes for Kimberly to mention her sorority. That is the longest stretch I think we've had since Vice President Harris was elected.
And you mentioned your sorority. Another member of that sorority is actually incoming freshman representative Nikema Williams of our state as well. So
great. Yes, that's what she needs is more fuel. Thank you very much, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Samantha Jean, what do you got? Oh, yeah. So thank you so much, Sarah Rose, for being here. I just wanted to add to what you guys are saying. Yeah, we do not need to be looking at the polls. What we need is folks like you who are there, who are involved, who can really give us a clearer picture of what's going on, or at least what it feels like is going on. And so these are kind of my personal feelings and really just my hope, because I see Georgia as such this beacon of hope for the rest of the South. Like, I don't think I got more excited about any other state besides Georgia. I mean, I was just absolutely thrilled to see, I have friends in Georgia. My father used to live there and I know that climate. I don't know how well that Kentucky or sort of how we live, but I thought it was very indicative. I think Mitch McConnell he gave a nice speech. That's what politicians do. He did give a very nice speech when he when he accepted, his win, which, is just so strange that Kentucky was the very first state to call its election for President Trump. And I just, that was kind of, odd or iffy to me. But what I'm seeing from my state is that we have tons of registered Democrats. We have a lot of African-American voters or registered voters, but who are not voting, who, from what I've known, and I hear progressives, and I hear, young people, I hear Black folks say, there's no chance of ever turning blue in Kentucky. There's no chance. They say, my vote doesn't count, so why should I even go? And I'll tell you, watching it, and I think we have a huge debt to Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams made that election happen in Georgia. I truly believe that she was boots on the ground, talking to people, gaining their trust, and telling them your voice matters. And now I believe there's a reason why Mitch was, I think he was playing it very nice. He was not playing politics. He did not come out and support Donald Trump or his whole thing. And I feel like that to me is indicative of he is absolutely playing a game because he knows that Kentuckians are right on the heels of Georgia. I believe this because of young people like Charles Booker, who had a very real shot of beating Amy McGrath. I think he was just a newcomer. If he had just had a little bit more time, a little more exposure, that I think that the future for him in Kentucky is huge. I think Charles Booker is going to be a massive, massive influence coming up. And I see him as our Stacey Abrams. And we need, people like that to come into communities of color and gain their trust and say, I'm not just a politician here, I am about, this community, and say, we have to let people believe in their voices. And I truly think that's the only thing holding Kentucky back. And I think Mitch knows that we can look to a state like Georgia and go, we can do that too. And I believe we fully can. We have enough people, we have enough voters, and we just have to inspire disenfranchised voters, because mentally people here think they can't do it. They think they can't win, and it's false. And so I don't know what your experience is with Kentucky, but I'm like, man, we could do that too.
Sure. Well,
I went on a rant.
You speak to interesting points, because I think there's a lot of people in Georgia who probably never would have predicted that Georgia would become a blue state or become a blue state in 2020. Where I was born and where I was raised is a part of Georgia called Cobb County. I was raised in a town called Marietta. That was a very conservative part of the state only 10 years ago. Now it votes staunchly Democratic, and it has for the past two elections. They've elected a Democratic representative there who has won twice now in the House. So I think the takeaway from Georgia that maybe other states in the South could see is that there certainly seems to be potentiality for sort of a new progressive movement in the South that many conservatives, many Republicans, many on the right maybe never saw coming.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your perspective. I agree. I completely agree. I lived in Marietta. That's actually where my father lived. And and I think it's because it's this new hip town, and you have all these young people and progressive moving in. Because I think that young people like 30s and under are a lot more Democratic in general. And it's just that they literally just either were too young to be voting before, or they just were not super involved in the process. Sure. Didn't believe that they could fight, this world that their parents and grandparents have been ruling over for such a long time. And I mean, we literally are just moving out of that cycle. And people are starting to see the real power that they have if they just get involved. So thank you for everything that you are doing and for being an example.
Of course. I mean, I think that it's just an interesting time to be in the South. I've told people before that Atlanta is not as conservative as I think some people in the rest of the country think it is. It's actually a country, a city that is very heavy in the LGBTQ community. It votes overwhelmingly progressive. It has for decades now. So I think that a lot of people who are really surprised about Georgia voting blue haven't necessarily followed the trends and patterns that someone that's grown up there has seen for a long time. And I'm sure there are similar parallels to Kentucky and other parts of the South where, we're not necessarily surprised that there's this progressive uprising that's happening and that Georgia's turned blue. But, I'm not going to be a pundit here because that's not my role as a journalist, but I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if you saw more Southern states in the next few presidential elections turn blue in the same way that Georgia has in this one.
I agree. And let's hope so.
Amen.
I wanted to interject, if I may, just real short and quick here. I would like to piggyback on what Samantha was saying, Miss Sarah Rose. Actually, being an African-American in the state of Kentucky, I would never compare Kentucky to Atlanta. I would never, ever, as long as I walk this earth, compare a Charles Booker to a Stacey Abrams. Stacey had been working on this plan for over 10 years, and there's more of a population of African Americans in the whole state of Georgia as a whole. And in the state of Georgia, they are more progressive than we are here in the state of Kentucky. And you're talking about female Black mayors, you're talking about Black police chiefs, you're talking about this. And there's certain parts of Georgia that are more progressive, as Sarah Rose was saying. But we do have a long way to go here in Kentucky. And the numbers prove to us post-election just how racist this particular state is. So we may have just a little bit more work to do and make this a viable state that's more progressive for African Americans.
Well, I think that's a really good point. I just want to say thank you, Sarah Rose, again for joining us. I know in the time you've spent, you now have 5 more stories you need to file. So I appreciate you taking the time to do the work. We are going to keep an eye on your blog and your writing and your reporting in the next days to follow. Tomorrow for sure, but I've got a hunch that maybe things aren't going to be decided immediately in Georgia if history is any guide.
I don't think any of us are necessarily expecting in the newsroom that we're going to have a clear result tomorrow night. We would hope so, but we'll see how things go. But we appreciate you bringing me on today, and it's always good to see you, Aaron. And we just encourage people to follow public news and public media. We believe that what we're doing is a good resource for the public, and if you have a local NPR affiliate, I always encourage people to check it out and give it a listen because it's home to some really good journalism.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so important that we have real journalism, in our kind of fact-free reality when we've got some, members of certain parties completely untethered. The facts matter. They continue to matter. And thank you, Sarah Rose, for your diligence in ensuring that we have the facts as we have, our conversations about policy. They need to be informed by facts and actual journalism. Thank you for those standards that you meet. All right, and we are now going to throw it over to our friend Kimberly to close us out tonight. Really exciting news buried in our clothes. So listen carefully, people. We got some great stuff coming at you.
Yes, we do. And first of all, I'm going to ask you this week, are you receiving our newsletter? If you aren't, you should, and all of your friends and your family too. This is where you're going to get all of the up-to-date information, and anything that you need to know will be in the newsletter. So if you're not obtaining that right now, make sure that you DM us, that's direct message us on Facebook and Twitter. Then also every week I just brag and go on and on about Ken at Couchfire Media. He is amazing and he puts this show together and he really cares. He has a passion for this show each week. And also, if you look up Couchfire Media, you'll find out that they ignite multi-camera, live stream, fiction narrative, nonfiction educational, informative animation, and commercial video production content. You can see all of it, all of Ken's work right there on Couchfire Media. Set your content on fire with Couchfire Media. That was my infomercial today. Did I do okay, guys? Okay, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Did I do okay on my first infomercial? Okay, and every week we play that great song that Nate Orshan that he actually produced and sung. And I tell you what, if you like Mitch McConnell, you're not going to like the song that well, but it does have a catchy beat. So you can listen to more of his songs and his great creative abilities right there on the natosongs.com, N-A-T-O songs.com. Also, make sure to follow and watch our other co-hosts and their other wonderful, wonderful work. First of all, bringing up Miss Denise Gray, our co-host here on the show every Monday. She has a show called Kentucky Conversations, and it will be happening next week on the Bluegrass Activist Alliance Facebook page. And they're going to be focused on the Democratic Party's reorganization plan. Please tune in and get involved. Right now, it seems like we're exhausted, but we all need to get involved. Your voice can be heard. Also, the Jones Report, right? You should always watch the Jones Report each week with our friends, Mike Breuer, former senatorial candidate that ran against Amy McGrath and Charles Booker, and also my friend, my sister, Betsy Foster, very heavily involved in the Democratic Party here in Louisville and Kentucky. We're going to be coming back real soon. We're on a hiatus right now. We're kind of sprucing up some things. But in the meantime and in between time, until we get back to the national news on that forefront with the Jones Report, you can see us and we'll let you know via Facebook and Twitter that we'll be doing some special reports and also the local edition with Betsy Foster. And the big news is that Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee will be changing our name and broadening our focus. Yes, we're going to be broadening our focus to address the critical issues and political accountability that our Commonwealth needs to get ahead in the state and national level. Isn't that wonderful? Yay for us, right? And are you ready for us? Are you ready for us? What's coming next? This is 2021, and we've got some really good things coming up for you. We will soon be Progress Kentucky. We'll still be producing our weekly live stream and keeping active on social media and support on the ground organizing, as we always have, primarily in the 6th District, but working to elevate voices and issues from across the entire 6th District. We want to hear from you. If you're living in these counties, Harrison, Woodford, Clark, Montgomery, Franklin, Madison, Bath, I guess that's Mafini. Did I say that right? Mafini? Mafini. If I butchered your name, I charge it to my head and not my heart, okay? I've never heard of this particular county before, but I think it's Mafini. And then also Wolfe County. I do know how to say that one. So we need to be touching down all around the 6 to help us in our endeavors and what we're trying to do here. And so that progressives can find their voices and their communities to work with to make all of the changes that need to happen. We've got time, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we have time at this point to make even more of a difference. We don't want any more Mitch McConnells coming in. And one additional change for us, we've got to change the name. So we're asking you, our loyal audience, we're asking you. On our Monday night live stream, we think the time for Moscow Mitch Monday has come and gone. So now we want to discuss federal, state, and local causes and politics with a more progressive eye. We need a new name. Can you help us out? Because the rest of us, we are out of names and they don't sound right. So we're coming to you for help because we do need a new name. Okay, and so then can you help us out? What name would compel you to keep tuning into us each week? Besides looking at the handsome face of Aaron Viles, yes, he paid me to say that, the beautiful Samantha Jean, the wonderful Denise Gray, our great historian of all information, Mitch Doug Price, and let us not forget wonderful, wonderful Ken with Couchfire Media. So we need your help in finding that out. So what would compel you to download our podcast? We're going to start keeping numbers, okay? What would compel you to download our podcast and share that out to your family? We want to know. Moving forward Monday, concerning our Commonwealth, Kentucky's Blue Mondays, put your ideas in the chat. We appreciate everything, that your thoughts, your comments, and your concerns. And that is all for us. So next week, we'll know the Georgia results. How about that? I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm crossing my fingers, my eyes are crossed, everything to make sure that we take control of the Senate. Good luck to Ossoff. Good luck to Warnock. Good luck to my sorority sister. Good luck to everybody down there in Georgia. They've done a great job. I know you're watching. We love you. And we also want to hear from the researcher in chief, Progress Kentucky's treasurer, Doug Price, next week. He's going to have that great segment for us. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kimberly Cecil Jones, and we'll see you next week.